And so Freud, who was the founder of modern psychiatry and psychology, in his very first paper saw it very, very clearly. His very first paper said that the root of mental illness is childhood trauma, because he interviewed these women and they're all being sexually abused by their fathers or close relatives. This was in 1895. And then he scared himself. Polite Viennese society was not ready to receive the news that children were being sexually abused. And Freud himself became scared of the implications of his findings, so then he came up with these cockamamie theories that these children were fantasizing sex with their fathers. And he just went right off the rails. But his fundamental insight, first of all, that adult behavior is really influenced by early childhood experiences, and is first to the subconscious, and that trauma was at the basis of that all, was quite accurate, if only he had stood by his own experience and findings. So when somebody says that the world is a horrible place, and that's the world he lives in, well, the world first created that mind. And if you look at the President of the United States, he's a deeply traumatized person. He had a rageaholic, workaholic father who demeaned and attacked his children at every turn. One brother died of alcoholism. The other one became a poweraholic and a profitaholic and a sexaholic and everything else. Except those are respectable in our society, respectable enough that now he gets to be in a position where he's imposing his own trauma on the whole world. And that's what's going on right now. But trauma creates your worldview. Fourthly, trauma induces shame. Because when a child either is badly treated or simply not treated well enough, and here I have to make a distinction for you. When we talk about trauma, we usually think about terrible things that happen. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, neglect, and death of a parent, violence in a family, and so on. Well, those are traumatic, all right. But if you were growing plants in your backyard and they weren't developing properly, or I'm sorry, let me put it this way. If plants were growing in your backyard, there are two ways you could hurt them. You could hurt them by poisoning them or cutting them, but you could also hurt them by simply denying them what they need. Irrigation, minerals, sunlight. Same with children. They can be hurt, traumatized, not only by bad things happening, but by good things not happening. And in our society, that's increasingly the case, again, because of the stress on the parenting environment. And the breakdown of the connections in our society, as was mentioned in that video, where people are still in interaction, people are supportive, people are communal, that's human nature. We now live in a society that denies the most basic needs of human nature. And so a lot of children are being hurt, not by what happens that shouldn't have, but by what doesn't happen that should have.